The views expressed on the following program do not necessarily represent those of this station or its management.
It's time now for Where You Live with Gene Sullivan, the show that deals with the news and events that affect you the most. Whether you rent or own, live in an HOA, single-family home, or an apartment building, Gene will tackle the issues right where you live. So, from the True North Painting Studios, here is the original man of steel, Resolve himself, who stands for truth, justice, and the association way. Here's Gene Sullivan.
Good morning, everyone. I am Gene Sullivan, and I'm broadcasting from the True North Painting Studios. When you are looking for the right painting contractor, what do you look for? Isn't it someone who will respect you, your time, your property, and your budget? That's what you can expect with True North Painting. Find out more about this exceptional company by going online at truenorthpainting.com. That's TRU northpainting.com, or give them a call at 952-831-1433. I'm also brought to you by the great folks at Extreme Exteriors and American Family Insurance, the Kim Bennett Agency. I again want to say welcome to taking some time out of your Saturday morning here to be with me for my show today. I also want to say hello to Christopher Wyatt Huberty. How are you doing, Chris?
Good, Gene. How about yourself?
Great. I've had this last week, one thought that came through my mind is coming to the station here today was that I've had some people who asked me quite a bit, and they'll say, Gene, how do you even like the job that you're doing? Because, in property management, I guess one of the reasons we have a job isn't because things go well, but it's because things go wrong. And when things go wrong, they need to be addressed. And a lot of what we deal with in the management of property, of course, is not ever the management of the actual property itself. Isn't it more often than not the personalities and the people that are tied to the property that you're dealing with? And if you stop and think about it, most issues that anybody deals with, and I've said this over and over again, this is really good to remember, folks. Whether you own an apartment building, you're a single-family home just living in a neighborhood with other neighbors, or in a community such as a homeowners association, if there's a breakdown, it's because of one of three things that is always taking place. Number one, it could be that the person who is empowered with doing a job, that could be a property manager, could be a board of director if it's a self-managed association, they may not be doing their job correctly. Now, the reason they don't do their job correctly can be because of one of two things. Either because they want to do it a certain way because they have an idea in their mind and they want it done their way, and that's selfishness. Or it could be, and most often than not, it is because of this, they are doing so because of a lack of information. And that part is really easy to correct, and that's why we've got our show. That's why I do what I do, and I enjoy what I do, because there is something very satisfying to see when someone who didn't have some information, didn't have some knowledge beforehand, all of a sudden is able to fill in a few more pieces, and then all of a sudden things go well, and it's very gratifying. And so remember, if something isn't going well in a relationship, number one, it could be because the person isn't doing their job. Number two, it could be because that person isn't being supported or given the resources to do their job correctly. They may be wanting to do it correctly, but they can't. And why can't they? That's because an association, well, let's go back to that self-managed association, for example. The board may wish to have the property run well, but the homeowners aren't willing to increase the dues so that the money is there to be able to get the projects done that need to be done. And so if the resources aren't there, they aren't able to do their job. And that brings me to the third point, and that is unrealistic expectations. That's probably one of the biggest reasons why there is so much arguing and dissension that I see with people and with neighbors, and that is a terrible thing. We can fix that with information. That's why we do the show, and that's why we are so glad that you're a part of this show each and every week. But with that in mind, let's go ahead because we've got a lot to cover on today's show here on Where You Live, and we'll begin with property management in the news. Property Management in the News is brought to you by Home Furniture and Abbey Floor Coverings. Their showrooms are staffed with professionals who will help you choose what you need to fit both your lifestyle and budget. Whatever you need, chances are they'll have what you're looking for. Now, if you wish to avail yourself of special pricing you won't find anywhere else, all Where You Live listeners can call Customer Service Coordinator Lori Matson at 952-224-2663. Well, let's talk about that. And remember, let's use that guideline here that I talked about here this morning as we take a look and dissect this first story. And this is coming out of Las Vegas, Nevada. And it says that there is a homeowner who is in a battle with their homeowner association over trees. And this comes from Channel 13 News, KTNV, an ABC affiliate in Las Vegas. And here's what took place. A gentleman by the name of Lewis Washington purchased a home in a single family home detached homeowners association. The name of the association is called the Southern Highlands HOA. And he just recently started receiving letters from his homeowners association saying he was in violation. Why? Because he was missing 2 trees in his front yard. He couldn't understand this. He was quoted as saying, "My house has got more greenery than any house," he said, "you want to go around and look at. And they're saying I still need a tree?" He said, "I just don't agree with that." Apparently, the board told him that he had to put 2 trees in, despite the fact that he bought this home brand new from the builder who installed the landscaping back in 2002. And so his beef is, Mr. Washington said, "Hey, look, if the board had come to me maybe a year after I bought the home and said some things were missing, you need a couple of trees," he said, I would have given in. But he said, "I've lived here 11, almost 12 years now." He says, "I don't see why I have to now give in." And so that's the issue. And have you dealt with that before? Let me ask you, my listeners, have you dealt with a situation where you live in an HOA and you've been there a number of years now? All of a sudden you get a letter from the board, and the board is saying that something needs to be done or something needs to stop, although this is something that you've done consistently for a number of years, and you go, "What's up with that? This just doesn't seem right. What's going on here?" Well, Mr. Washington didn't think so at all. It says, though, that the board of directors, what they did is they asked him to come in to a special meeting with him and the others on the board, and it said that they did finally grant him a variance to keep his yard just as it's been the last 11 years. But there was one string attached. They wanted to give him what was called a conditional variance. In other words, they said, "Mr. Washington, we understand there may have been some miscommunication here, but the governing documents state you need to have 2 trees in every front yard. Every home needs to have that. We are going to let you to continue to live there just the way it is with your property right now, under the condition that when you get ready to sell your home, at that point, right before you sell, you put in the 2 trees. He still doesn't think that he needs to do this. And because of this, he says they're going to be going to court over the matter, and it's going to be listened to very soon by a judge in Las Vegas, Nevada. What do you think about this situation? Have you been in this one before yourself? Does the HOA have a right, after so many years, to tell a homeowner, look, we don't care that you've been doing things under a certain understanding. That's been wrong, and now we've got the authority to make you change. We're going to talk about that, and I want to dissect this story. What's going on here with everybody? What went wrong, and what can people do to kind of make things go right? I'll talk about that more after these messages.